little bit tardy.
Then I worked it.
I have to go in timeout. No. Okay.
Forever.
But I discovered after I got in my car that my watch is between 15 and 20 minutes slow. So even though I was technically on time, for me that's late because I'm usually like a half an hour early. And I play this game. It's like if the meeting starts at 10, I have to be there at 9:30, and then I think, well, gee, if I have to be there at 9:30, I really should leave, about 20 minutes before that so that I can be there before 9:30. So then I show up at 9 o'clock and nobody's wherever I'm supposed to be. Anyway, good morning and welcome to the first College Council meeting of this academic year. Now tell me again, what year were you?
I'm a senior.
Gee, I wonder why she was cheering. Okay, all right. We'll do a little bit of introduction in a few minutes, but the first order of business is to officially call this meeting to order and to recognize that we do have a quorum. Yes. The first order of business is the approval of the minutes. Now, you all got the minutes in your packet. And if you were here at the last meeting, if you have any corrections, Brian?
Move to approve as written.
Okay.
I second.
Okay. Moved by Brian, seconded by Harold to approve the minutes as submitted. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion to approve as submitted?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you very much. The chair's report. Here we go. We have two people here who are at their very first official meeting as members of the College Council. The first is Steve O'Shaughnessy, who may be known to some of you by his day job. He is the supervisor of the town of Messina. And also at her very first official meeting is our SGA president, Kajitu Baldi. Did I do it right?
Almost.
Sort of.
Kajatu.
Kajatu.
Yeah.
I got the accent on the wrong syllable. I'll get it after a while. We're very pleased to have both of you here, and we will make sure that everybody gets to know everybody. We also have our new Vice President for Finance with us, and you'll hear from him later, Eric John Ortiz. John's. I'll get it.
That's okay. You just call me Eric, EJ.
EJ, not to be confused with Eric Dersher over here, who's ED. You'll hear from him later. And we're also pleased to welcome back in his new capacity one of our proud alum, Sal Kania, who is our new Vice President for Advancement. Welcome back. I think most of you have already met Diane Marie Collins, who is new to the President's office how many months ago?
Mid-June.
Okay, so we stole her from SUNY Canton. We have this thing going on between the two colleges, they'll take one of ours and we'll, it all works out. And congratulations to Nicole Conant. She's now ABD, all but dissertation, soon to be, we're not jinxing, Dr. Conant. But she said we could still call her Nicole even if that happens. Today, I think most of you may know that at 3:30 we're going to do the formal ribbon cutting on the new child care center, which was formerly located in Merritt Hall, which I'm told is the oldest building on the campus, which I find difficult to believe because it was the gym when I went to school here. I mean, the gym. There was no Maxey Hall, there was no crane, none of those crane buildings, none of that. In fact, there wasn't even the quad because the library wasn't there. And what's now known as, let me think about this, Raymond Hall used to be the one with the clock tower on it. Now it's Satterley, and this is Raymond. So I said that to somebody. I'm like, oh, you mean the building that used to be Raymond? And the student goes, oh, but that was a long time ago. And I'm like, yes, I know, and I was here. You couldn't wear slacks to class. And I don't know if there's anybody in this room old enough to fully appreciate this, but you couldn't wear rollers in your hair to the dining hall except on Saturday Saturday. And we had one professor, David Brown, who I believe is since retired, who wore jeans, and it was pretty radical, let me just leave it at that. Make sure if you're available to come to the ribbon cutting for the Child Care Center at 3:30, and it's on Outer Main. It's like next to the Collegiate Village, but it's sort of across the road from where Hosmer and those crane buildings are. And Lori Moulton, who is the director of the Child Care Center, recently received the Marcia Brady Excellence in Early Childhood Administration Award from SUNY. So we're very proud of that, and I've got to know if it's the Marcia Brady from the Brady Bunch that's named after.
It's not.
Oh, it's not? Okay, thank you, Eric, for solving that problem. I thought it was just serendipitous.
Just a coincidence.
Okay, all right. Also, very pleased to let you know, if you haven't heard, and if I'm stealing your thunder, I'm sorry.
It's all right.
But I'm gonna do it anyway.
It's okay.
Our Pacey's Dining Service has recently completed the hat trick. So those of you that follow hockey would know that it meant for 3 consecutive years in a row, we are #1 among all the SUNY dining services. And if you had a chance to eat here lately, or you will, Steve, you'll know why we're #1. Coming up October, I believe it's 12th and 13th, is the Association of College Councils and Trustees statewide meeting. This year it's going to be in Albany. And today is the deadline to make hotel reservations, so if you are interested still, it's not too late. Let Diane Marie know, and she will graciously take care of that for you. I'm planning to attend. The president, unfortunately, is going to be out of town at the Ask You. I knew it started with an A.
Foundation.
Is it, oh, it's the foundation board weekend.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and our scholarship luncheon.
Right.
That's it.
That's why our president won't be
Yes.
there. But speaking of scholarships, we are pleased to announce that this year we have a SUNY Potsdam student who will be receiving one of the ACT scholarships at the award luncheon in Albany. So we're very proud of that. And today you're going to be hearing from our Director of International Education and 3 of our students that took part in the New York Stands with Puerto Rico experience earlier this year. It was a great effort on behalf of New York State, and the governor very wisely included SUNY and CUNY. And I think you'll hear that the students had a worthwhile experience, and we're looking very much forward to hearing from you all about that. So that's all I have. And now I'm going to turn it over to the president to
Very good.
fill in all the
Oh,
rest of the
very good.
blanks. Oh, one more thing, I apologize. I want to, on the action items, number 6, the resolution for the parking, this was not included in your packet. And so with particular apologies to the attorneys, SUNY Legal insisted that we had to do a resolution, a formal resolution. So I'm going to ask for your permission to amend the agenda to address this, because it needs to be done according to SUNY Legal, and you all know how the lawyers are.
They're
Okay.
wonderful.
Yes, they are.
Very good, very good.
He says modestly. All right, now I am done.
Now you are done. Okay, well, thank you. You did steal my thunder indeed, but that's all right. We can never say enough that SUNY Potsdam is #1 in SUNY for dining. And actually, we do the student opinion survey every 3 years. So we've been #1 for the last 6, and we'll be #1 for the next 3. So it's a good deal.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a long time. We've had a very good start to the school year. We welcomed our largest first-year full-time freshman class in 6 years. 882 new undergraduates and about 200 new transfer students. We've got 127 new graduate students. And so my appreciation to all the folks in our admissions offices, graduate and undergraduate, and all on campus who helped welcome and bring this new class in. This is very, very good news, and I think you can feel the excitement on campus as you see our new first-year students settling in and finding their way home. June already introduced the new members of our President's Council here, and Diane Marie. I also want to note that we've got a brand new Director of Athletics, Sharif Hashim. So I hope that at some point you'll have the chance to meet him. We'll bring him to a subsequent meeting. But already he's out and about in the community, and I have a lot of hopes for our athletic program under his leadership. Already just this week we beat Clarkson in women's soccer with President Tony Collins watching. That never breaks my heart. And we beat SUNY Canton in men's soccer. Zvi was not there, but it was a wonderful game. And so we've really had a very strong start to our athletic season. Our women's soccer right now is 3-0, 3 wins, 0 losses. In other parts of the campus, we had a really wonderful opening faculty gala at Crane. And I will tell you that our Crane enrollments have been very strong at the opening freshman concert. We had, I think, 14 bassoonists. It's as if we got every single bassoonist who was graduating in the state of New York, a dozen trombones, and really an entire high school chorus joining our voice program. It's thrilling to see those numbers very strong, and I'm really looking forward to an extraordinary year of performances there. In other news, you stole my thunder around the daycare center, but that's okay. I think we can say it again. It's a beautiful facility, and I think serves not just the campus but the community well. We're able to expand the number of students we serve, and it's just a spectacular facility. So if you can't join us today for the grand opening, I hope you will come back and see, just see what an amazing space it is. And given that daycare is a really critical need for our community, really pleased that we were able to expand, expand our offerings there. We also saw renovations in Kellis, which is our large lecture, the building that houses our large lecture halls, and Timmerman Hall. Those buildings are now refreshed and renovated. There's new seating in the large lecture halls. There's some new acoustical treatments. In Timmerman, our incredible rock collection that our geology department houses is now up front in a kind of a new museum-like setting. So again, if you have the opportunity, I hope you'll just walk through those halls to see what really beautiful renovations have been done over the summer. We're already getting started to bring in our next year's freshman class. As you may or may not know, we had a consultant come in and help us evaluate our admissions function. So this year we are doing, we're working on creating efficiencies. We are bringing in a new CRM, which stands for Customer Relationship Management Solution called Slate, to really automate some of the work that we now do by hand. And we are doing an updated website that's more forward-facing for our admissions function, and then developing a new intranet for our in-house function. My thanks to Mindy Thompson and her very, very hard-working crew for going through the 58,000 pages of our website, sifting through each one, determining does it stay, does it go, does it need updating. It's an extraordinary task, but a well-needed one. I will also say that her team is responsible for this beautiful new annual report, which I hope you'll take a look at, just showing off some of our accomplishments over the last year. Over the next year, there are a handful of other new initiatives. we're in the process of updating our facilities master plan. So our building, the master plan for our facilities really was intended to go through 2020, so we're in the process of, we're thick in the process of updating that, and that should be completed this year. And that'll be the blueprint for determining what buildings need to be renovated, in what order, and what are the key campus priorities. Given the heat that we've had and the large numbers of students who have some form of disability, we're going to have to pay a lot of attention to accessibility and perhaps some renewed awareness to climate control in ways that perhaps the North Country didn't need when some of us were undergraduates. So we're going to continue working on our strategic plan for diversity, equity, and inclusion. We've been doing some nice work in the community that will continue, as well as continuing to roll out the trainings on campus on inclusion and creating an inclusive campus environment. And then finally, we've got a couple of important searches. Despite our best efforts to ask Interim Dean of the School of Education and Professional Studies, Walt Conley, to stay another year.
One more year.
He's desperate to go back to the classroom, so we will be mounting a search for a permanent dean of the School of Education and Professional Studies. We will also be, in the next few weeks, beginning a search for a vice president for enrollment management. As those of you who knew Rick Miller well, he retired in January, and enrollment management had reported up to him. I will say that it's been a great pleasure to be leading admissions. We made our class, but I will be seeking a vice president to take over that really critical function for us over the next year. So I'm looking forward to an incredible year. We've got over 400 concerts, performances, poetry, reading, the whole array of events that you would expect. We've got amazing students, some of whom are graduating, and it's going to be just, I think, an extraordinary year. So look forward to seeing you on campus and hoping that you'll be able to participate in what makes this campus such an amazing place. Back to you, June.
Thank you.
And happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Comments? I'm trying to remember, did we do a resolution thanking Ken McDonald for his service on the council?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I can cross that off my list. The other question that I had, there's been some stuff in the news recently.
Mhm.
There's been a lot of stuff in the news recently.
Yes, there has been.
But the U.S. Education Department, Betsy DeVos, has been making noise about changing the regulations about campus reporting of
Right.
sexual assaults. And
Right.
since we just went through our whole thing with
Sure.
SUNY,
Sure.
is there any update or?
New York State guidelines are I don't want to say more restrictive, but they are more protective of students than federal guidelines.
Okay.
So we'll
To
continue to
begin with.
follow
Okay.
all state guidelines, and our new student conduct policy is very much in line with state and SUNY guidelines. So right now, there's nothing new to report.
Good.
The Department of Education has allowed campuses to use a different standard for the burden of proof in student conduct hearings, but because we follow New York State guidelines, there's been no change for us.
Okay, that's good news. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now we're going to hear about Puerto Rico. Kristen LeBac is our Director of International Education.
Hello, everybody. Let me just get the presentation up and loaded here. Oops. Okay, as you can imagine, when the governor of New York comes down with an initiative in late April, we had to move very, very quickly to be a part of this experience. So the focus for the presentation is on the SUNY stands with Puerto Rico. As you know, There was a contingent also from CUNY, but there were approximately 250 students from SUNY that participated in this program. So it was early May when I received the notification from President Esteberg and Provost Bergeron asking me the question, how many students do you think can do this? And it was the last week of classes, and my first thought was none. How am I going to recruit these students? I threw back a number of, realistically, I think we could have 3 to 5 Potsdam students complete this experience, giving me enough time to get those students recruited and on board. Well, fast forward, we ended up being one of 4 lead campuses for the entire SUNY initiative. We sent 39 students through SUNY Potsdam. We were leaders of 2 of the deployments. I led one of the deployments, and Dr. Christopher Torres from Exercise Science led the larger group that followed our group. So just this next slide here is just some of the information on the numbers so that you can see. So 233 SUNY students, 14 staff leads. There were 5 2-week deployments completed over 10 weeks of the summer. Again, we were one of the lead campuses. We had an additional 2 students that went through other SUNY deployments, and I just found out yesterday, one of the students who had applied for the initiative but was not accepted ended up getting an email from one of the NGO organizations, and she ended up volunteering in Mexico with that organization this summer. So it's a great sort of periphery experience for that student.
What does NGO mean?
Non-government organizations. Okay. So these were the nonprofit partners that SUNY and CUNY worked with.
Okay.
They sort of were they did the delivery on the ground. So they housed us, they provided transportation, food, and then obviously coordinated our work at all of the project sites. So there were 3 of those that SUNY and CUNY worked with, All Hands and Hearts, Nahama, and Hearts 9/11. Hearts 9/11 is one of the organizations that came out of the September 11th timeframe, and that is mostly trades folks that are based in New York State that volunteer their time on a 1 or 2 week basis to go to different disaster sites, not just Puerto Rico. All of the organizations are represented worldwide, so it's not just that they're only operating there. In fact, I'm coordinating possibly another lead experience with a faculty member from SUNY New Paltz. Her discipline area is disaster management and mental health following these kinds of disasters, so we're looking at possibly leading another group. We're not sure where yet. We're waiting to hear from the organization to see where the greatest need is for that. So the project itinerary, our typical day schedule, first day was a travel day to get to the sites. We then, days 2 through 6, approximately 8 in the morning until 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. We're at different locations doing all kinds of work that you can see down below. Many of our students had very, very limited experiences, myself included. I'm married to a contractor, and believe me, I've done none of these things before. So this was new for all of us. We I think, took a lot of sort of practical experience away from the program and just knowing how to use tools, safety on job sites, those kinds of things. In the middle of the 2 weeks, we did have 2 days off where students were able to get out and do some exploring on their own, back at work for the second week, and then day 14 was our return home date. For the students' participation, it's important to note that nearly all of their costs for the experience were covered. UNICEF provided all of the airfare for all 250 students, or 247, 44, whatever my number was there, students that participated. The 3 organizations that we volunteered with provided us with our housing and our meals for the days that we were working. So the students were left with their own spending money, which really didn't result to be too much. They kind of pooled their resources. My group of students ended up renting an Airbnb in San Juan and had a fantastic weekend together. The tuition was also covered by SUNY for any students that wanted to earn 3 credits for their participation in the experience. Early on, our syllabus that we designed here at Potsdam ended up getting sort of mirrored at many of the other campuses. So that sort of made it a more consistent academic experience for students who participated. I guess the big point here too is we received nearly 3,000 applications for what were going to be around 225 to 250 spots. So you can imagine in that 2-week time frame, the chaos of my office, but then all of us across SUNY trying to coordinate those applications. It was difficult. It was really, I would have taken them all. You know, students really put in a lot of efforts into those applications. For us at Potsdam, it came down to us wanting to focus on students who have had limited travel experiences before. Students who might not be able to travel otherwise, where that funding support was really important. So we were really careful in making sure that we were looking at those applications fairly across. Unfortunately, we couldn't take everybody, but I think we did a really good job at that. SUNY Global Office, based out of System, did an amazing job sort of setting things on the ground, working with the non-government organizations, and then coordinating this whole thing. I mean, I still look back at it and think, oh my gosh, how did we do that? How did we get from 3 to 5 to this incredible experience? So I just want to show you a quick news clip. Oh, here's some photos. This is Alexa's group at Nahama. They followed our 2-week experience. And then the next one is our group that was with All Hands and Hearts. And I just want to show you a quick news clip, and then we're going to put all the focus on the students so that you can hear about their experiences. We got a lot of media coverage from this initiative, which we're really happy about.
Potsdam with Puerto Rico. SUNY students are helping to rebuild 10 months after Hurricane Maria struck. Here's 7 News reporter Keith Benton.
This is what some SUNY Potsdam students are doing on summer vacation. They are rehabbing homes struck 10 months ago by Hurricane Maria in Puerto Rico. Deanna O'Neill of Carthage is there.
It's shocking how people are still living. The home that we're working on today still has no power. They lived on a generator that they run a few hours a day.
5 other SUNY Potsdam students are with her. They're with the relief organization All Hands and Hearts. They're sealing roofs like this one, and they sanitize rooms in 90-degree heat. Christopher Torres grew up in Puerto Rico and has family there.
So it's shell shock. How incredible, how devastating, and then all of a sudden, it's like, why is this still going on in my life?
Torres will take 16 more SUNY Potsdam students there. Each group does a 2-week stint. One of them is senior Scott Boyce of South Colton. He feels a sense of duty.
I think it's especially important with Puerto Rico. I know sometimes they get kind of outcasted, so I think it's really important that us as other U.S. citizens go down there to help them out.
When I talked to O'Neill, she said how grateful people are. They've been bringing them food, snacks, and cold water as they work in the sweltering heat.
It's pretty heartbreaking to hear their stories and see how they're still living, and it makes you want to try even harder.
A Messina business donated safety gear you see students wearing. The SUNY Students Force part of the New York Stands with Puerto Rico initiative. Keith Benman, 7 News.
Krista?
Yes.
Can I just mention who that Messina business was that donated that material?
Sure.
It was Labatt Construction, and it's Krista's husband who was very generous in his donation.
He was so moved by this. He's actually looking at leading a deployment of him and his crew, possibly in January, with with Hearts 9/11. So, kind of exciting. So these are a couple of the testimonials. I'm going to leave this up here, but I would like to put the focus on the students. Julissa, can I ask you to go first? Julissa has to get to an 11 o'clock class. So come on up, Julissa. You can introduce yourself and just give a few remarks on what the experience meant for you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Julissa. I am currently a junior with a criminal justice major and an international studies major with a Spanish minor. So the reason how I knew about Puerto Rico was because my my cousins were applying to CUNY. And I looked everywhere for the SUNY application, and I even emailed one of the CUNY representative, and I was like, I know I'm a SUNY, but if there's a way I can apply through your application and stuff like that, because I just couldn't find it. And it was because I was a little too early to apply. So
SUNY was running to catch up.
yes, and I was awake when the email first got about that SUNY's, we couldn't apply, and I believe I was one of the first ones to fill out the application because I was already like midway in it. I didn't know if I was gonna get in, but I'm so happy, and I told this to Krista every time I see her. Like, I am so glad and I am so lucky that I was one of the thousands that applied. I'm Dominican. I was born and raised in the Dominican Republic. I had a small knowledge about Puerto Ricans, not very positive because of cultures and stereotypes and stuff like that, for which made me want to go more and experience it myself. I wanted to get to know our neighbor country, which is right there from us. And the experience was, it's hard to put into words in my explanation. I love the organization I work with. Their mission is wonderful. They don't only work in Puerto Rico, they work worldwide. The people I met, the students that I had the chance to go, the supervisor that was amazing. The people, too, Puerto Ricans. Being a Spanish speaker, I got lucky because I also felt like I was the bridge that connected my team and the locals, which I felt like really lucky in a way. But it was very sad and devastating to translate all the sad stories from these people. Even if one of the team members didn't really speak the language, with tears in their eyes, they could see and they could feel what the person was saying. You will hear people constantly saying about how they don't have a home anymore, or how they lost everything. They will show you pictures, and these pictures, they are very powerful. You don't need to say anything. You could see water lines up to like 10 feet in people's homes, or the home would just be gone. And it's sad to know that you will go to neighborhoods and they will be in the same situation. It will look like as if the hurricane happened last week without all the water, of course, but the damage was like the same. And it had been like almost a year, and this is like hurricane season again. And I remember a week before we went, like in the news they were saying how there might be a chance another hurricane happened, and I was like, Jesus, like give them a break. But I'm glad I went. I'm glad I had that chance. I never done any kind of like hard work like that ever in my life, and every time I was trying to help with it, either like a shovel or something, family members were like, oh, well, you're too young, or you're like, you're a girl, you can't really do this hard work stuff, or your back, be careful. But like going to PR, I used tools I never thought I was able to use in my whole life, and it felt so good. I loved it. I feel like I could do anything just because of my gender or my height or anything in general. That really didn't matter. Like, I was a human being and I was just there and I was helping I was making a difference with the little I was. Thank you.
Maybe Julissa can intern with the construction company now that
For
she
sure.
can use all these tools.
Hello, my name is Alexa Ferrer. I'm a junior here. I'm an exercise science major and a nutrition minor. I play lacrosse here also. Finding out that, okay, so I got about 3 emails saying that I was denied I applied to every week possible over the summer. I thought I have nothing to do, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna do this because it just seemed like the most beautiful thing that I can do, to be able to do something for someone else with my time that I had open. So when my coach sent that to us, everyone applied to it, and we thought, it's the last week of classes, it's finals week, like I need to get this together. And it was honestly the best thing that I could have done for myself. Throughout the summer, getting all the emails denying me from the previous weeks, And then finally getting that email saying that I was able to come. The day that it came, the day before, I had asked God for a sign that things were going to get better, because at that time I had lost a family member, things were just not going very well, and I thought that this is how things are gonna turn around, and I'm gonna help, and I'm gonna do something that's meaningful, because I've never really done anything like this before. I am the youngest of 10 kids, so traveling is not something that we're able to do. So being able to travel and help people was something that I never thought I'd be able to do in college, and I'd never be able to experience. I am Puerto Rican myself, and we visited my family all the time in Puerto Rico, and as soon as their house was destroyed, they came back to New York, and it was like no one ever wanted to go there again. Sorry. So getting to go there and tell them how, like, yes, things are still bad, but how much better things can be and how much better they're getting. I can't wait to see my family go back, and I can't wait to go back to anywhere to help. The last week that I was there, I was trying to figure out with my team leader how I can stay longer. Like, I just wanted to be there. I never wanted to leave. And it just made me appreciate so much more that I have now, that I might not be able to travel and do everything, but I'm getting a college education. I get this chance to help people. I get so many opportunities that they don't, and they're still so grateful for everything that they have. A woman that we met, her name was Ellie. She was my favorite homeowner that we had gone to, because the first day that we were there, she told us, I know what hard work is. I know you're doing hard work. She made us food all the time, and she said, I know what it's like to do hard work and not have a good meal, because she saw us all the time choking back our hot sandwiches that we got at 7 in the morning that we're eating at 2 in the afternoon. Like, she understood, and she was there all the time. She was always trying to help us and bring us things. She told us about how every day while she was sleeping, anytime it rained, she got rained on in the middle of the night, and she, in a year, has gotten used to it. And that broke my heart more than anything, to hear that someone just got used to that, and that's just how they had to live, and that was the conditions that they were living in. So now coming back, I will never complain that I need to clean something up. I will never complain that it's too hot in my house or that it's anything, because it's what they live in, and they're grateful for it. That is just some of the happiest people that I've ever seen. Like, the culture, everything is just, I can't even explain it. Like, anyone who asked when I came back, like, about it, the first week that I was back, I had no words for it, because I couldn't even digest what had happened in the 2 weeks that I was there. But now that I'm back and, like, people ask me questions, it's like it just floods back, and I remember these little things that I might not have been able to before, but that made the experience what it was. So I'm really grateful that I got to go, and I really can't wait to do something like this again, and I know I will.
Alexa is actually working with the organization to look into a possibility for the women's lacrosse team to go back. Yeah. Lisbeth?
Thank you. Hi, my name is Lisbeth. I'm a math and Spanish major. I'm a super senior. This is my last semester, and I went to Puerto Rico with Krista. I was in her group, and it was an experience that was life-changing completely for me. It was eye-opening. It was humbling. I saw things that I never thought I would see. I was exposed to situations and places that were destroyed that I never thought I'd be around, honestly. But yeah, so when I applied, I really doubted I was gonna get chosen. I applied, I think, on the last day, close to like the last hours of the due date, because that's when I found out about it. I was studying for finals in the library, and I was like, okay, let me apply real quick. I applied, and I didn't think I was gonna get it, and I was walking my dog one day, and I saw the email, and I was like, I'm going for a reason. I'm being put into this situation for a reason. And I had to mentally prepare myself. I was convinced I wasn't going to get chosen, because it was about a month and a half later that we heard back. So I had to mentally prepare. I was like, okay, I'm going to be in extreme heat, going to have to do physical labor. How am I going to do this? I've never done this. And I'm not one to do that. I guess you could say before Puerto Rico, I was a complainer. I didn't really appreciate my blessings, which I know are blessings now. want to get my nails dirty. And I was like, okay, what am I going to do? So after educating myself on how Puerto Rico was and how the state of it was 10 months after the hurricane, I realized it wasn't about me. It was about the people in Puerto Rico who are struggling to live in their homes, or they had to leave their homes because their homes aren't livable anymore. So after being thrown in to the first work day, we were told where to go, what to do. I realized that was where I belonged. The first day, the first hour, I had no doubt that this is where I was supposed to be at this moment. And after that, everything became much easier. All my team members and my team leaders were very helpful and encouraging and supportive. They taught us how to use all the tools. And it was just like, it wasn't a chore. It wasn't going to work every day. It was going to do something more for the world. And that's what really made it fulfilling for me. And seeing how these people were living just broke my heart. There was this woman, I forgot her name, the last semester I had. She was living with buckets all over her home. You had to like step over buckets to go to the bathroom because the roof leaked every day. And that's just crazy to me because we live in our comfortable homes where we don't have to worry about stepping over a bucket, you know. And it allowed me to appreciate the simple things that we have here, like roofs that don't leak, light switch that work, etc. And also the base that we were staying at, it was very humbling for me, I guess, because we had to work and keep up for each other. We had to do chores every day. We had to make dinner for each other. And it felt like a community. And it wasn't just our group that was there. It was other people from around the world. We had people from Australia, people from Scotland, Spain, who were also volunteering with us. So it felt like a little family. It was an amazing and supportive organization. And yeah, it taught me to be more appreciative of these things that we have here. And I know that after this, I'm going to be volunteering. When I graduate, I'm going to go volunteer somewhere else. If it's with the same organization or with somebody else, I'm going to. So, yeah.
Did you have any questions for the students?
What position do you play?
So I'm actually a midfielder, but our goalie is torn her ACL, so I'm a goalie right now.
Oh,
No,
wow.
the giant bruises on my legs.
Good luck. This is part of the reason why Potsdam is so special and why we're all privileged to be part of the Potsdam family. You all do us proud every day, everywhere you are, whether you know it or not. You are one of our blessings. And thank you, Krista, for your leadership on this. Now, I know the president told me at one point that at one of the many times that the governor himself went to Puerto Rico, that some of our students actually spent time with him and had dinner with him. Was that your group? Or?
It was my group, yes. We had quite the second week. On the Monday, the governor and his team, he had representatives from all kinds of different organizations as part of his delegation. The New York State Power Authority, right. He had some Catholic charities based in the city, a few others, and some SUNY presidents as well. And yeah, he showed up to the work sites and he talked with the students and the other volunteers. We did get to have a great dinner with them that night with some of the other organizations. So that was the Monday, and then the Friday, Chancellor Johnson came to visit, and she was, let me tell you, she made me look lazy. She worked so hard. She insisted on staying with the student groups to do the work. Remember, we were up on the second floor of a house. Yeah. She was lifting 5-gallon buckets of rocks and lowering them off the roof of a house. So she just really, really could feel the importance of the experience. She wanted to be around the students. I think she could have used that opportunity for promotion of SUNY in other ways. She insisted on spending that time with the students and being a part of the organization. She was wonderful. She came to our debriefing meeting at the end of the day, so she got to hear how we, end each day and talk about the work that we did. She was moved. She was really, really moved, so much so that she would really like these kinds of initiatives to happen again with each of the organizations. So we're going to work hard to have Potsdam be the first one to do something with New Paltz. So yeah, she was great.
Yeah, the chancellor also took part in the governor's Adirondack Summer Challenge in Indian Lake, and she had actually just gotten in from Puerto Rico 11 o'clock the night before. And she got up and was in Indian Lake the next morning to go whitewater rafting.
Amazing.
As part of the SUNY raft. They didn't win.
She was lovely. She had a lot of
The
great
governor
questions about Potsdam. She's looking forward to a visit this fall, I
Yeah,
think
she
is in the
promised.
works. So she knew us, but she definitely had a lot of questions too. So mostly she wanted to talk with the students. She wanted to get the students' perspectives on the experience, but also their experiences here at Potsdam. So she was great.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
And Kristen, thank you for your leadership.
Oh, thanks, and thanks to Dr. Torres too,
Yes.
who led the other group. He had the larger group. He had 29 students. I only had 10. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, but you paved the way.
Thanks.
All right, thank you very much. So that's one of our favorite parts of our college council meetings, is hearing stories like this. Have a great one, ladies.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, so moving along from the fabulous to the mundane. Eric, you want to tell us about why we're doing this?
Sure. Yeah, this is very mundane, especially compared, but necessary.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
back in the spring semester, those of you who are here may recall that you saw this same document as an update to the campus traffic and parking regulations, which is statutory authority that the campus has. So the process was President's Council approved it, College Council approved it, then went back to SUNY Legal for a public, I think it was a 45 or 60-day public comment period. There were no public comments on it, so it's now back to this group for consideration of the resolution. And then once that happens and the President signs off on it, it will become law and the changes would then take effect. So most of these are pretty simple updates. They have not been updated. I believe since the 90s, it's still referred to them as public safety instead of university police, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a necessary step, as mundane as it is. I'll be happy to entertain any questions. The document, I think, clearly laid out the underlying what was new, the bracket what was being taken out, and obviously that would be cleaned up for once it's published. Thank you.
I would move its acceptance.
Second. Second, Harold. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the resolution as presented? Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, adopted unanimously. Thank you, Eric. And now we move on to our reports. And the first report is from the SGA. Would you please tell us what's going on?
Yes. Okay, so in terms of what we're doing right now, I'd like to start off based on like the welcome weekend festival that we had. So during this carnival, we had a lot of new students come and, basically go through each covered organization to see what they had. And we were there as SGA, we were doing tie-dye. So that was very fun, and we handed out over, I believe, like 800 t-shirts to students. So that was very, very exciting. And in terms of, as of right now, clubs are really out there and they're trying to have different events and their mixers to kind of provide a place for students, for our new students on campus, and returning students as well. And we recently also had another organizational fair with Campus Life, and so that was very, very nice. We had a lot of students come out and basically see the clubs that we have on campus. And these fairs are very essential to campus life, or student life in general, because this allows students to see what we have on campus. And as of right now, for our SGA e-board, we unfortunately have to let go one of our e-board members, the secretary, Tia Jones. She has asked to resign for personal reasons, and we appreciate that very much. And so, although we're sad to let her go, we recognize that it's important that she has to, do what's best for her. So currently we're working on electing a new secretary, and we should have a new secretary by October, the beginning of October. That's how we have planned this out. So that person should be in office by then. And yeah, so in terms of Senate, So our Senate is going very well. We just completed our training sessions. Our treasury completed training sessions. We will have our first Senate meeting next week on the 12th, I believe. And so that's very, very good because this way students will actually start, coming up with bills and will start banning or, approving bills and stuff like that. And as for assembly, that would also begin next week on the 13th. And as for assembly, a new thing that we have this semester, which I believe was spoken about last semester as well, is that we are basically allowing all SGAP paying students to be a part of assembly. So it's not like by districts or whatever it was before. Currently, we are accepting any student who's interested to be a part of assembly. And this is a very crucial thing because not all students, are part of different districts, and we have students who live off campus, which now can join, can join assembly. And so that's very exciting. And as of right now, we have about, I believe, 10 dedicated members to assembly. So that's a very good number to start out with, and we hope to increase that in the weeks to come. And as for new clubs, we have a very new club, the ASA, African Student Association. So this definitely adds to our diversity on campus. As of right now, in terms of, talking about minority students, we have the Black Student Association, we have Soka Loka, we have all these different clubs, and now we have the African Student Association. So this definitely brings a lot more taste to our campus, and it's a very exciting thing because most universities actually have this, and I'm glad that our university is one that has this association right now. And I believe they have over 25 interested members, and many of them are new students. So that's very, very, very exciting. And as for new ideas, so currently we're trying to make sure that each club actually takes upon themselves to instill this new requirement that we have. It's called the club membership agreement. So the way that this came about was we had a few students who were concerned about membership safety, and there were some who didn't exactly feel comfortable within their club. A very few amount, but we felt that it was still important to recognize that, and so we decided to come up with club membership agreement, which is a form that all members of the organization are going to have to sign. They're going to have to come up with their own rules first of all, and then after that they're going to basically sit down and have a meeting and agree on those rules. And all members, starting from the e-board to the general members, are going to sign this membership agreement. So hopefully this will ensure accountability, and it will ensure a safer environment for our members. And if not, we have a form to go back to and tell them this is what you agreed upon, and this is what we have to uphold. And it'll be something that has to be renewed every single year. So if students don't feel the need to adjust their constitutions, they have this form that has to be adjusted every single year. So we're very excited this is in there, and we think that it's going to bring about very good results. And
just a quick question: Who created this document?
We did.
And has it been vetted properly to make sure that through legal to make sure that it is appropriate and ask the appropriate questions? You're asking someone to sign a document and agree to an agreement that's been created. Who should have oversight that document is created correctly?
I could just interview. SGA is their own independent
so they're
body.
their own,
SUNY Legal does not represent them. They have their own legal counsel, which I believe is Roger.
Oh, so he looks over everything.
So if they asked him to do that, but that would not be a SUNY legal thing. They would use their own legal representation because they are a separate entity from SUNY.
I would suggest that maybe Roger be asked, or at least review the document if you're having people sign it, just to make sure that it's within proper guidelines.
Yeah, so I was aware that we are our own entity, so that we do have our own rights to come up with the forms and go by the right regulations to do that. So I will consider that, and the office has been asked, but I will take further notice to make sure that it is further looked at. But as of right now, this is something that clubs are going to be working on.
What are they agreeing to?
So they're agreeing to their own rules. So each club, because we can't basically give out rules for each club, they have to come up with it by themselves. So they're going to, have a meeting and they're going to discuss what they expect of each other. So it's kind of like a form of ground setting rules type of environment, just to make sure that they understand what each person wants and what each person needs within that club in terms of respect, in terms of accountability, things of that sort.
So you're looking for uniformity of certain basic things among all the clubs?
Essentially.
Okay. time, thank you.
No problem. Any other questions?
Okay. Next year, you graduate, someone else takes your job. What happens to this document? Does this document just get removed, modified, thrown away?
Yeah, so that would that would have to be based on their perspective and their way of governance. As of right now, we as a board have made this a requirement. So just like our student government association registration forms, those are required by each club, and that's what we're instilling for this year. Now, if they decide that, like, for some reason, the document has not been working and the goals that we set out are not working for the clubs, then they can work to readjust that. Any other questions? Okay. So, and in terms of social media, that's something that, actually, before I move on to that, so during the Welcome Weekend Carnival, we actually partnered up with the Crane Student Association, which has never happened before, and we thought that this was crucial in terms of like just making sure that students understand the roles that, you know, Crane students have on campus, and to kind of like bring some sort of social media awareness and just campus awareness on Crane students and our relationship with them in terms of liberal arts students and students that are associated with Crane. So last semester, I believe I mentioned to you guys that we were trying very hard to make sure that there's a relationship between liberal arts students and Crane students. And this is one of our efforts of trying to do that. Moving forward, we're going to make sure that we're going to try our best to make sure that all clubs and organizations are posting their flyers in both Crane and general liberal arts, the liberal arts buildings. And the reason for that being is that during my campaigning, actually, I noticed that there weren't many flyers posted in the Crane building, and you know it's kind of understandable a bit because Crane is kind of so far away from campus. But we recognize that that kind of limits a few students from seeing those, you know, because some Crane students only stay in Crane. You know, so if you're only staying there, you may not see what activities there are that you could possibly be available for. So we recognize that, and we thought that making sure and speaking to these club presidents and club leaders, that ensuring that they're posting their flyers or they're, you know, making sure that they're involving these students would be a very crucial thing for our campus, and hopefully it has great effect. We don't have the results for that as of right now, but hopefully on our next meeting we'll be able to discuss that. But yes.
Could I just say that this is like deja vu all over again, right, Sal? And I mean, ever since I was in the Crane School, before all those glorious buildings on the outskirts, we had the problem that Crane was like a silo. And you went to your classes and you did your thing. And I remember, well, it was a while ago after some of the new buildings, when they put the snack bar and the, you know, the dining thing over in Crane, it's like, oh my God, we're never going to see them now because they don't even have to leave to eat.
Yeah.
So I wish you good luck.
Yeah. I mean, but if we decide to put flyers in the Crane Commons, you know, that's not for our area. Hopefully they'll be able to be inspired to join these events. Right. And hopefully the club members of, you know, the Crane Student Association or other people are able to encourage their members to attend other events, you know. And one other thing, actually glad you mentioned that. So we're gonna try and work on collaborations between clubs. And that includes Crane Student Association and other like student clubs that are associated to Crane to collaborate with general liberal arts students who have these organizations. So hopefully that works. I mean, I have my meeting with all the presidents this afternoon actually, so we're going to be discussing a lot about that.
What would be the relative percentage, Crane, liberal arts?
We've got about 500 students in Crane on in our undergraduate student population is about 3,200. So
27.5, so it's pretty heavy liberal arts, 5 to 1.
And School of Education and Professional Studies, we've got a very significant number of undergraduate students in childhood education and business. I'd say the largest majors are psychology, business, music education, and early childhood, elementary. Biology. Yes.
That's why Walt wants to get back to
yes.
the classroom.
Thank you.
And we also have a newly reinvigorated graduate program in the School of Education. The numbers are up quite nicely.
Especially in MST, early childhood.
And it appears we have international students as well.
Yes, we do.
That's very exciting. Okay, so moving forward, in terms of social media, so as of right now, we understand how crucial that is within younger generations. So we currently have an increasing number of 919 followers on Facebook and 919 likes. Now this is very important because it means that these students are going to be able to see all of the events that our clubs are having and any information that we have to report to our students. So hopefully in the coming weeks, actually, we're going to have this number increase. And we have an Instagram account, and we're working on increasing those numbers as well, just to make sure that we have a direct way of kind of reaching our students. And yes, and also, a very exciting thing, we're actually working on 2 new web pages. One of them is Campus Labs. Now, this is something that we're working on with Campus Life, actually. They've been doing a really great job of making sure that this actually functions very well. And it's going to be a site where students are going to post all of the events and activities and general information that they have about their club on this website. So I'm not sure if you recall this, but we already have some information of clubs on the SUNY Potsdam page, but it's not as, I guess, explicit, and students aren't really allowed to go in and play around with it. So this one is going to be entirely under the control of students. So they're going to have access to this account, they're going to edit it, post any pictures they have, link any other accounts that they have, and they're going to place that here. And hopefully, you know, this will also allow us to reach more students. And if any student wants to know about any club, they can go on this specific page and find out more information and hopefully join that club that is of interest to them.
I hate to ask, but is somebody going to vet the pictures and stuff that are going up there?
Well, we would have control over it, and I think that has been because each student, our students are actually going to be trained in how to use this.
Right.
So those rules are going to be explained to them. Yeah. But the students do have access, but we also have administrative access to it.
Yeah, but is there like an 8-second delay or something in case somebody gets carried away?
Well, that's something that I will have to ask to get more information.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can just add that software was purchased through a SUNY PIF grant that Ruth and others are working on. PIF, performance. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, related to micro-credentialing that Ruth and others are working on campus, and it has a great opportunity. In fact, before this, I had a preview with Ruth and Kelsey of the campus labs and all the Engage software. It's pretty neat.
Yeah, yeah, and she's coming into Senate actually next week to teach students how to use it.
I would think that the student conduct policies and everything would come into play here
Yes,
too.
and the acceptable use policy,
Right.
yes, thank you.
Definitely would apply.
Having YouTube flashbacks, that's all.
And something else that we're also working on is another account, which is YouTube. And I believe, I'm not sure if I mentioned this here at the foundation board, but that's something that we're also working on. And our goals for that is to find a way to also reach that world, because there's a lot of YouTube users nowadays, especially within our generation. And essentially, our new idea is to kind of have a thing where we interview clubs, or clubs can interview themselves, or just have a video snippet, I guess, of what they're about, and they can post that on there. So if any students who are researching about Potsdam, like I remember when I was coming here, I went on YouTube and searched up, and I really, unfortunately, did not find much. But I'm sure I would find a lot now. But hopefully we can increase those videos on there so that students who want to or are interested in Potsdam can see what we have to offer. And yeah, that's about it for social media. And as for student concerns, so it's something that we definitely have to recognize each year and bring to committees like this, of course, councils like this. So we had a few complaints that have been, that are being taken care of, and I'm sure we all heard President Metzberg explain about that in terms of, ensuring that we have proper safety locations for students, and any students who have mobility, health difficulties are able to basically, get specific, specific areas for them, because unfortunately that's something that our school does lack in terms of space for certain students with certain difficulties. And so hopefully in the near future, and as I've discussed with President Esberg and President Tiago, it's something that they're looking into in their strategic plans in terms of trying to make sure that we have spaces for these students and that, and that we're going to continue helping and providing their wants as an inclusive university. And also, so our our campus hours have changed in terms of the dining hall. And so that brought up a few concerns from students and something that we're working on with Pacey's to ensure that, all students who require certain hours or have desires of eating at certain hours can actually go and get access. Because right now, I think during the weekdays, late night is open until 11 p.m. And during the weekends, late night is open only till 12 p.m. And normally it used to be 12 p.m. and 1 p.m. So that hour decrease has affected some students, but it's something that we have now come to understand is because of the enrollment that we had. But since that has increased, it's something that we plan on revisiting in the near future. And as of right now, that is all.
I have a question. Excuse me.
No, you said your report.
Question, do you have any time to study? Because you seem to have a pretty good, I mean, this is a fairly proactive list of things that you guys are doing. And,
Thank you.
And in the time that I've been here, I gotta say that this is probably one of the best reports I've heard. And I'm wondering if at some point you're planning on getting into politics.
Don't wish that on you, Rich.
No, I think you do pretty well.
Thank you. And I do have time to study. I'm very proud of that.
Thank you very much. Now I see Kimberly Bouchard is not here.
She has class.
Okay, we have her report in your packet. The only thing I just wanted to point out was that UUP recently settled its contract with New York State. Overwhelmingly, the membership voted in favor. It's a 6-year contract and it's retroactive to was it 2 years this year contract? Yeah, okay. So then they're the first bargaining unit in the state of the public employee unions to have their contract finished. Okay?
Julie, yeah.
All right. No,
Yes,
I know.
And if you see our elected officials,
Yeah, I
you
know.
might remind them that
That
state funding of
we
the
have to pay
contracts
for that.
would be greatly appreciated.
Right. Since we don't get to
Because that
negotiate
comes
them
totally,
locally.
and that totally comes off our bottom line, but
Yep, we know.
enough said. But we're grateful.
Yes.
And if I might say, I'm very grateful to Kim Bouchard's leadership in Faculty Senate. I think this has ushered in some of the, I think we've always had a very good relationship with Faculty Senate, but she's an extraordinary leader, and we had a wonderful day-long joint retreat with our Faculty Senate Executive Committee to look at strategic planning, and I just feel very, very grateful for Kim's leadership and really the entire Faculty Senate. I believe we're really moving forward together, and that's
And the SUNY-wide Faculty Senate is having a meeting here.
Correct.
And I don't remember when. April?
April.
Okay. Okay, moving along now, Provost Bergeron will enlighten us about the academic affairs side of the shop.
Sure. Just to, I'm not going to go over what was in your packet, because I'm sure you've read that, but just to welcome the opportunity to answer any questions that anyone might have about anything in there or that we're currently working on. With just a quick notation that Academic Affairs is working on updating our strategic plan, and we'll be doing that through a leadership retreat in a couple of weeks, and then an open summit beginning of October to welcome the opportunity for the campus community to think about what our hopes and goals are for academic affairs, building on our plan from last year. We're going to recreate, but just to make sure that we have the focus that we need for this year. So actually started that conversation early this morning at a monthly coffee and conversation that's open to the campus community. So we started to talk about what some of the hopes are, building off of President Esterberg's opening presentation to the campus a couple of weeks ago, focusing on hopes for the year. And also wanted to mention that in addition to our new academic programs that are listed on here, so this fall we're welcoming our first students in the revised Certificate of Advanced Study, Inclusive and Special Ed, and then the new bachelor's programs in Arts Management and Geographic Information Sciences, which we're very excited about. We also have the academic units working on some other great programs that really fit with our mission. One is looking at the school leader, school building leader, school district leader certification, which is long overdue for our campus given our history in educator preparation. Doing that in consultation and collaboration with BOCES and the local school districts. And Walt's put a lot of time into that and can certainly answer any questions, but I think that's a pretty critical leadership certificate to bring to our campus. So we're moving on that. Also, in recognition of our strength as in liberal arts, to finally get a bachelor's degree in liberal arts, also long overdue, and something that we can then build on for a degree completion program, which is something that we recognize is really important for rural areas like this, and in working with Fort Drum to have a degree completion. In recognition of our strengths in the sciences, there are 2 exciting bachelor's degrees that are being worked on right now that should come to the Senate this year, if not this fall. One in environmental science. We already have a very strong environmental studies program, but environmental science is slightly different. So there's a cross-disciplinary group working on that proposal. And then also one that's very multidisciplinary, working on nanotechnology. And in fact, that new degree would be housed in the new interdisciplinary studies department, because it's truly across campus that's working on that. We already have a letter of support from Clarkson. He's very excited that we're working on this, and that will build into a 3+2 with Clarkson into engineering, like we already have with the sciences 3+2. We are finding that there are actually very few nanotechnology bachelor's degree programs in the country. So even though nanotechnology in and of itself is not new, there's a lot of great groundbreaking research being done, particularly in cancer research, some of which is being done on this campus. I was surprised to learn that there were very few, maybe 3, something like that, for these numbers. And we'll be the first in SUNY. So that, we have a very enthusiastic group working on that. I imagine that will come to the Senate this fall. It takes a couple of years to get it all the way through to be a registered program, but the quicker we can get it off this campus, the better. So those are some of the things that are being worked on, in addition to another interdisciplinary program in global or international health. And that again will be across multiple areas and multiple schools, both school ed and professional studies and arts and sciences would be contributing to that. And that's in recognition of global international trends, and again, our areas of strength on this campus. But our wonderful deans could answer more specific questions about any of those programs or anything else that we have in the works in terms of academic affairs. Oh, yeah. I'm in my head, that's a done deal. So, one of the other really exciting areas of cross-school, cross-disciplinary collaboration has been the creation of a computer science educator program, and that will be the first in SUNY. It's currently with SUNY. We sent out a revised.
It's up for review. It's up for comment.
Comment, right. So the state of New York is requiring computer science educators in the classroom, but don't yet have a mechanism to certify or credential educators for that. So, whatever. So,
we're not surprised.
Well, right.
She didn't.
Yeah, I know. So it's probably pretty good to actually have some programs that would prepare people for this mandate, right? But
Pretty
again,
radical, Betty.
yeah, I just saying. So that's why I'm not a politician. So with our combined strength and history in computer science and of course in educator preparation, it's a natural area for us. So there's been some great work, very fast work between our education faculty and computer science to come up with a program. In fact, we were so fast, it was before
Before the certification was decided.
right before the certification was decided, so we were focusing on middle and secondary school, but the certification is actually going to be K through 12, so we had to quickly backtrack and make sure that the program included everything that was needed for the K-12 certification, so that had to be resubmitted. Thank you, Walt and Peter Brower, for the leadership as well, of course, with Laura Grabowski and others within computer science. So we're hoping that gets done and certified or registered in time for fall 2019. And again, we'd be first in SUNY and one of the first in the country for this particular program. So thank you for the reminder of that. Yeah.
Have any questions? For those of you who may not know, Steve Marquesi is the Dean of Liberal Studies, Arts and Science. I'm losing it. And Walt Conley is still the acting dean of the School of Education and Professional Studies. One more year, Walt. Come on.
We've already done one more.
Yeah, I know. So
This is my second one year.
I know.
Go for three.
There we go. Go for the hat trick, Walt. Okay. No, we appreciate your service. Thank you.
Sure.
Eric Johnston Ortiz.
Good morning.
Show me the money.
I'm broke.
Okay, sorry about
I
that.
have kids, and so they
Yeah, I know. That'll do it.
I thought I would sort of introduce myself since this is my first meeting. Briefly, I'll take a minute just to kind of go over where I've been and what I've done over my career. I have a master's in business administration from the University of New Orleans in Louisiana. I've worked in higher education for 28 years. 18 of those years have been at the vice president or vice chancellor level at institution in the Mexico State University system, University of Minnesota system, and Eastern New Mexico University system, and now SUNY. And all the systems are different, and SUNY is unlike anything I've experienced, but I am catching on quick. All the acronyms was just, it was unbelievable. It still is unbelievable. I won't tell you how long exactly I've been here. That's kind of a campus joke, but I did start May 21st. So it hasn't been that long, although I was told yesterday it seems like it's been a lot longer, so I won't go into that.
No, it just feels a lot longer.
It actually doesn't feel that long at all. I still feel like I'm learning a lot of things and working through a lot of the, some of the issues that need to be dealt with. Just to let you know, the areas that I oversee are all the business operations, physical plant operations, human resources, environmental health and safety, and also computer technology services. So I replaced, I'm doing Mary's, Doan's old job, and then John Humberger's. And I want to thank them for their efforts prior to me coming on, specifically John, because he had to kind of train me in the SUNY finance way. And again, it's kind of convoluted and kind of a mess to figure it out, but I think I'm there. And again, I hopefully the report that I submitted was to understand some things, but I wanted to point out just a couple things. Again, the budget information has been submitted as of last week to SUNY administration. In our, they call it a Form 1, which is basically all the entire campus. There's four main parts of funding. And in addition to that, we had to submit this year a 5-year financial plan regarding all those four separate funding areas. In the past, I think it'd been a 2-year plan, but they are looking at a 5-year plan to kind of get a better feel on where the campus is going. I'm pleased to say that through a lot of really trying to crunch the numbers and really look at the realities of what our finances are, that at the end of the 5 years, I think that this is going to be a very positive outlook financially for the campus. Things have to happen, and again, it's a forecast. Nothing is built on anything concrete. We're definitely going to have to take a look at how we're situated on a personnel level as we move forward with positions, and a lot of this is built on the premise of a steady enrollment growth, not huge enrollment growth, but a steady increase, approximately 1% a year. But I think that there is definitely light at the end of the tunnel. I've talked to the president. She seems optimistic that these numbers can be taken care of and implemented. So I think that we will get there. I hope we'll get there. Previously at one of our president's council meetings, I said we could do it in 3.5. I have now taken that back and said 5. So I'm you know, the cup's a little more than half full, but I'm still not all the way. I'm more realist than a pessimist, but that's just my nature. A lot of facility renovations going on. They're mentioning Kellis and Chimmerman, the new child care center, also sadly 102 and the entrance to the hall, and then Dunn third floor was also taken care of. And probably the next largest thing, really important, is the Banner 9 upgrade for the campus. Banner is our computer system that runs almost everything that we do. From what I understand, we're one of the first ones within the SUNY system to have gotten to this stage of implementation, which is very good. There's an absolute drop dead date of December, it's before the 31st, but at the end of the calendar year, the Banner 9 has to be online, and Banner 8 will no longer be supported. So we have to make that move to that point, and we're there. We're getting very, very close.
Between Banner 9 and Banner 8?
Other than it being an extra digit, there are some technical things within the abilities of what Banner 9 can do. From what I understand, and again, I haven't gotten the full training on it myself, it's going to be more user-friendly. It's going to be more web-based as opposed to easier access to drill down on information are the things that I've been told and have seen through some of the demonstrations, because previous, when I was in New Mexico, we were also going through the Banner 9 product. Everyone who's on it has to have this upgrade. I mean, so it's not just SUNY, it's every institution who's on Banner has to be at Banner 9, because Banner's actually a solution who owns Banner, but they said after December, no more support on Banner 8, which means they're done with it. It's just, I think it's going to be easier and hopefully more efficient in processes, which is something that I think if you did a study of almost any institution, they're not as efficient as they could be, and they don't always use their tools the way that they were designed to be done, and I think that's something we have to really engage and own, is trying to be as efficient as possible, because sometimes there's a lot of wasted man hours in things that we do, and just because it's every institution I've ever been at, well, this is the way we do it here at this institution. Well, sometimes that has to change, and that's what I think we want to move with this. Thank you.
Could I just ask, since you have facilities under you now, there was a little fire in Dunn yesterday?
I had nothing to do with it, Jim. I swear.
There was some piping in one of the. It's a very small area that there was some smoldering. I don't think it was a full-fledged fire. Okay. Yeah, but it definitely had got into the circulation system as far as the air, and some of the classrooms had to be aired out. Yes, I've been talking to both my physical plant director and the environmental health safety. I got a call early in the morning that we've got this situation going on, and we're trying to figure out how to one, how to make sure this doesn't happen again, how to remediate the problem that caused it, and just so that things don't, this is not going to be a normal occurrence. So I think that was one of those things that just happened to happen, and it was a freak accident, big issue.
By a contract.
Well, I've seen, you heard something I haven't, so that's not, I haven't heard that, but I appreciate that. Do you have any questions?
That's just, you don't see this very often in a report that your expenditures are down from the previous year, but also the budget. Was there anything specific that led to that, like something we didn't accomplish, or is it just across the board?
Well, actually, in not spending our budget, that's definitely a positive thing. Because,
well, yeah.
Yes. I think as I look through the previous year numbers, there's a budget number that's set, and we have historically not expended all those dollars. Probably there are lines that are open. I mean, not every position is full at any given time during the year. So there's some savings that's built into the budget. There's a line there that says vacant, but the number's there. If they don't fill it, that's considered a non-expenditure, and it's considered a savings for the year. So there's a couple of those that occur, and I think as the year goes on, people, my belief is that in the past it's time to kind of tighten the belt a little bit. Don't spend as much, and I know towards the end of a fiscal year, which for us would be June 30th, we kind of sent out the message, okay, you can't spend anymore. We really got to stop spending now, and it leads to budget savings. This last year, or this current year of the budget process, from what we budgeted last year, we did have additional savings. We've made some additional cuts this year in areas that we feel I did a 3-year trend of expenditures over the last time period, and there were some areas that had a budget of X, but they were only spending Y. So I kind of took X minus Y, figured that money could be saved a little bit, and that's what we did. So I was just looking for places that had a little bit of a buffer, for lack of a better term. I don't want to call it that, because that means that someone was not really budgeting what they should have been, but I've been doing this a long time, and I know those areas are there, and so that's what we're trying to do, is just trying to right-size our budget for our operations.
Thank you. One of the challenges is, even though the new fiscal year begins in July, SUNY doesn't actually load our budget until significantly after, which makes really accurate budgeting and expense a challenge. I won't say it's impossible, but it's a challenge. And we're acutely aware of the need to make sure that our expenses line up with our revenues. So we've been taking a very cautious approach to spending wherever we can.
Thank you.
Thank you.
In addition, the major part of our funding from SUNY doesn't even occur until next year in March, because of the way they get their budget.
Yes.
So we kind of have to. It's definitely convoluted to anything I've ever experienced. I'll say that in public. I know it's recorded. So we have to kind of milk along for 8 or 9 months, and then we'll get a big push of cash at the end of next year. But that is a tough way to run a business. And from my perspective, even though we are a state institution, we're not out to make a profit. It is a business. I have to run this as a business, and that can be tough.
Well, one of the systemic problems is that SUNY as an agency is on a different budgetary year than the state itself, which is calendar year.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a systemic issue.
Oh, 2 questions. One, what exactly has been renovated in Lehman? So the bathrooms have been, but was it new? Was it did you guys build in new things within those bathrooms?
They were basically gutted and rehabbed.
Okay.
This is a process that's been going on almost 10 years, where we're taking a bank of anywhere from 10 or 15 bathrooms in
Okay.
Lehman and rehabbing those, and I believe that finally finished this summer, almost 100 bathrooms we've done over the last 9 or 10 years.
Okay.
And we are aware, I've had talks with Eric about the need to renovate and clean up some of the residence areas. And within this 5-year plan, I did budget some monies that would be specifically spent for that type of making it look nice and improving the living conditions, because yes, we know that there are some areas that do need that upgrade.
Okay, my second one. Is there any consideration for our tunnels that we have? Because I understand those are shut down, but in terms of opening those for
that's not been a topic of conversation, but I'm happy to sort of bring up the conversation in our facilities master plan. Yeah, we have not had any conversation about it yet.
Having worked in Minnesota, I know about tunnels.
Yeah.
And I know the importance during certain times of the year, which is coming up soon. And I haven't had a chance to talk to finance on my physical plan. I don't know what those conditions are. I've not been down there yet.
We'll look through them.
Okay. Well, can I actually fit? I mean, I know I can fit the ones in Minnesota. They were huge, but yeah.
We'll check that out.
We'll find out. I will let you know.
Thank you.
Okay, absolutely.
We don't hold it against him, but our new council member Steve is a SUNY Oswego grad. Do they have tunnels in Oswego? I know they have ropes. So you can pull yourself from building to building.
Along the dorms, it's on the lake.
It's on the lake.
Lake Ontario, and the people would actually get blown up against.
Exactly.
I used to use those tunnels. They used to be in good shape years ago.
Okay, we'll look at them.
Okay.
Field instruction.
Actually, we will be meeting with members of the capital fund, I think, next week to talk about that. So some of that is in the plans. I talked to my fiscal plan director yesterday about some of the things, but I don't want to say that there's anything that's concrete. But we do have a 5-year plan there that we work on and work off of. So I can make an update next summer.
Thanks. Brian needs to go to court.
I gotta go to.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
That's the trouble with lawyers on the council. Say hello to Eric.
I will.
I just met her husband again, and I didn't realize that they were married to each other. This, keeping your own name is very, very foreign to me. It wasn't an option when I got married. Any other questions for Eric Johnston Ortiz? I'm saying that so I remember it.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Eric. Sal Cania, come on down.
Come on down.
Would you like to win a new car? Oh, sorry, wrong show.
Yeah. But I'll take any gifts anybody wants to make.
Which is perfectly fine, he's not in politics.
Yeah. I'll take Eric's lead here and give you just a little bit of background about me. I am a Potsdam graduate from the Crane School of Music. Right after graduation, I was fortunate to get a job here at Potsdam and worked for 20 years at Potsdam. Most of that in Crane. During that time, I discovered the professional fundraising and evolved into that. After Potsdam, for the next 20 years, I spent time at St. Lawrence and Clarkson Universities working in fundraising there at various levels. And 2 months ago, I am now back here at Potsdam at my alma mater, committed to generating resource to ensure that public education is accessible to anybody who wants it. So, coming home. What I'm going to do is just highlight a couple of items from the report that we presented. As you'll see, last year we raised $5.8 million. which for us is a wonderful, wonderful amount. I believe it is either the largest or one of the largest fundraising years that we've ever had outside of a capital campaign. And to me, that's incredibly exciting because it shows the potential that we have for the future. Other than that, an average year for us is probably about $3.2, $3.4 million. So to get us up into that $5 million range really makes a strong statement. And of course, I was not here last year. I must give credit to every person down in the advancement office. It takes a village, it takes a team to raise that amount of money, and they did an incredible, incredible job last year. So we're looking to replicate that going into the future. A fundraising year at the $5 million range also positions us very well for going into the next fundraising campaign. So the indicators there are very good. And from this point, we're going to be looking at those aspects that we need to get us ramped up to go in that direction. The other item I'm just going to mention is reunion. This past summer, we had over 900 people register for reunion, our second largest reunion ever. And what we've found over the last number of years, certainly higher education and other institutions, is that we've had great luck with affinity reunions. We don't only look at your every 5-year reunion and try to get you back, but these days we're finding greater luck looking at groups of people to come back, athletic teams, Greek organizations, whatever it may be. Matter of fact, one of the affinity groups here this past summer was the 50th anniversary of a student leadership group here on campus, and they had a good showing at the reunion. And so that's a wonderful indicator for us and shows the connections that we have with alumni and bringing them back. So short report. Can I help with any questions? Good.
Glad to have you back.
Okay. Thank you so much. Pleasure.
Eric.
Another Eric. Or he's the other Eric.
And if I could break in quickly, I do want to let the council know that I've asked Eric to serve as the interim dean of students. He's been serving as the associate dean, and so he's assumed this role as of August something, and very pleased, very grateful for his willingness to accept this role.
I appreciate you offering it to me. Thanks. So, and hopefully I'll have a brief report. Hopefully those that were here last year are probably tired of hearing from me because we had regular agenda items with the Code of Conduct review and now this, so I think things will subside in terms of action items. But you all have in your packet the annual report from all the staff and directors in student affairs, which I think gives a nice highlight of the many wonderful accomplishments, to include athletics, which I'm thrilled to have back in student affairs. And you mentioned Sharif being here, and we're excited about that. The report really highlights the focus and priority of our time with students, working with them in leadership functions and individual appointments, particularly the statistics from the Counseling Center and Student Health on mental health and physical health, and our adjusting of staff to have a psych nurse practitioner and student health, and et cetera, really focus on some extraordinary numbers and appointments that we've been able to serve our students and initiatives. In particular, mentioned in student health, our director Tracy, who's a nurse practitioner, spent 2 weeks this summer downstate at a gender wellness center, seeing at the part of a business where over a third are transgender adults and children, so that she was better trained to help our students, and now is able to do things like hormone therapy and things like that with our students, which is a growing need. We don't have to ship them off to Saranac Lake or Burlington in terms of referrals. I think that's pretty fantastic. We had a great opening weekend, as the president already mentioned, in terms of check-in and work through campus life. University Police over the summer had an accreditation visit. They are an accredited state police agency, so they knew they were coming. This was sort of a mid-accreditation that was very successful. A couple of policies they need to tweak. We are implementing our new code of conduct, although we're doing that without Janelle. Janelle left to take a position at another institution. Many of you met her as she was here, so we have a search going on with that, but so far so good with the implementation of the code. And again, appreciate the council's support of that last year. So I will entertain any questions if anybody has anything about student affairs.
All quiet on the western front?
We've had a very, I hate to make any specific
Yeah,
statements.
Don't say it, don't say it,
so-
don't jinx
so-
it.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And last but not least, Bernadette. I know you've been very busy.
Well, good morning, everyone. I think I have a detailed report in your binder, so I'm not going to go through all of that. Just a couple of highlights. I think the president mentioned earlier, we've had a lot of focus on training lately, and I think at this point, I can say the majority of administrative departments have gone through some form of diversity and inclusion training, including physical plant. This summer, I think we've gone through about 5 different sessions with physical plant this summer. And last month, faculty went through a 2-day inclusive curriculum and engaging classroom, and 8 hours each day, and all those sessions were recorded. I will be working with CCI to edit that and make it available.
Tell them what the CCI is for the benefit of our new people.
Center for Creative Instruction, to make it available to faculty moving forward. Days of reflections for this semester scheduled for October 16th through the 19th. If you recall, days of reflection originally was just 1 day, but it's been very well received by the campus, and it's now almost a week-long event. And the committee currently planning, and we have a new chair for that committee as well. Back in July, we actually submitted a report to SUNY as part of the governor's call to action on diversity and inclusion, and it was just amazing to see the work that the campus is doing in this area as well. And other than that, I will take any questions.
Question?
Comment? Well, the trainings have been going really well. And almost all the student leaders as of right now have been trained in DEI or just diversity-related issues. That's very, very nice.
That's nice feedback, thank you.
The searches that we have going on, is there some kind of training or whatever for the committees?
For every search.
Okay.
For everyone, and it's interesting you just asked about that, because this morning I'm really thinking about another presentation. So what I've done in the past is meet with the committee prior to that to just talk about the inclusive search processes and what is it they're looking for. So absolutely.
Yeah, just want to make sure that cross-pollination is happening.
And I will say for our new faculty, our incoming teaching faculty, of the, I think, 8 full-time tenure track, more than a third are diverse in a variety of ways. Half were women. So I think that the work that Bernadette has been doing with our search committees is starting to bear fruit. We've got just incredible new faculty this year, and I'm very pleased.
And I'm also really pleased with the work that the academic departments and teams and chairs are really putting that into effect for these leadership as well. And I'm hoping it's going to cut across the entire campus. It's really working at this point, but the little things I will still continue to do to just make sure everybody is on the same page.
Thank you, Bernadette. Do we have any old business to come before the council? I'm not looking at you, Rich.
I'm going to make a motion in a second, but no old business.
Not yet. Is there any new business? I would like to suggest that at our next meeting, which is November 2nd, that we invite the new athletic director.
Absolutely.
And
Will do.
the other deans that haven't, so that's Michael
This was
Sitton.
Michael.
Right,
Yep.
I missed Michael.
Yep, and I think Michael had something else this
I'm
morning.
sure he does, otherwise he would be here, but I just
Good.
think it would be good for people, and maybe, maybe one or two of the new faculty
It's a good
to
idea.
just tell us a little bit about themselves and, why they made the brilliant decision to choose Potsdam.
Very good, very good.
Okay, and then before we have a motion that Richard likes to make, I would just like to remind everyone that next Thursday, September 13th, is primary day. So regardless of your political party, please, for God's sake, go to the polls and vote, because as most of us know, elections do have consequences. Now, is there a motion?
Not by me.
No? You don't want to leave? I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn. I'll second it.
All right. All those, any discussion? See you November 2nd. All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye, opposed?
Has anybody ever opposed that motion?
I don't think so. I don't think so. But thank you all.
November 2nd, May